Kherson Airfield after heavily bombing by Ukrainian fighter jets. Remember, this airfield was under the control of Russian troops. The fog of war has obscured the details of the battles between the Russian and Ukrainian militaries. Although the media has access to urban areas in Ukraine and reports about the situation there, much of the force-on-force fighting has been elsewhere. This is further complicated by conflicting reports from each country. The Kremlin claims the Russian special operation is going as planned and they are well on their way to demilitarizing Ukraine. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has claimed that Ukrainian forces have killed 12,000 Russian soldiers and destroyed over 2,000 Russian vehicles. From a high level, it appears clear that the Russian offensive has stalled. However, the actual state of each military is fairly unclear. One commonly cited source of information about both is Oryx, a blog that tracks the destruction of military equipment through open-source reports, e.g., social media, Reddit, with each claim backed up by photographic evidence. The equipment list consists of heavy weapon systems and vehicles, including tanks, armored vehicles, infantry fighting vehicles, trucks, aircraft and watercraft. There remains a large amount of uncertainty as to the accuracy of the website, especially since it is based on open-source reports. Critics have noted that there may be more imagery circulating of Russian losses given the interest of both Ukrainian troops and civilians in maintaining operational security and morale. Regardless, Oryx provides a more accurate picture of the progress of the war than other sources, many of which show a clear bias. Furthermore, the lists of damaged equipment aligns well with the narrative of events that has unfolded during the Russian invasion and can provide some insight into the details of what has occurred. The website has counted significantly more Russian equipment losses than Ukrainian losses, 993 versus 277. Of particular importance, it has counted losses of 465 Russian heavy vehicles, tanks, armored fighting vehicles, infantry fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, versus 138 for the Ukrainians. Doctrinally, the numbers make sense. An invading army should expect 3 times the losses of the army on the defense, if the two armies are equally matched. These numbers suggest that the two militaries are fairly equally matched and that neither side necessarily has a technology advantage. Note that although the Russian military has sustained greater losses, the impact of each loss is smaller for the Russians than the Ukrainians given the relative sizes of their militaries. For example, Russia went into the war with 9,780 tanks while Ukraine had 2,170. Oryx further analyzes the images to validate its authenticity and determine the make and model of each piece of equipment. A large amount of the equipment on both sides are remnants of the Soviet era. This aligns well with reports about a stagnant Russian defense industrial base, from which both sides have procured their equipment, and underfunded militaries. If properly maintained, the equipment would be expected to operate without issue. However, approximately 15% of the equipment listed on Oryx was abandoned. While some may be due to Russian soldiers fleeing, of which there have been several anecdotal reports, about half of the vehicles appear to have been abandoned due to maintenance issues, with nothing else appearing wrong with the vehicle in its images. To operate without issue, however, approximately 15% of the equipment listed on Oryx was abandoned. Further, many of the abandoned vehicles appear to have gotten stuck in the mud. Tanks and armored vehicles are naturally heavy, and although tracks help with mobility, they can still get stuck. Since it's early spring in the Ukraine, the ground is unfreezing and getting muddy. The weather and terrain are forcing the Russian forces to stick to the roads, as seen in the 40-mile convoy heading to Kyiv. Unfortunately, roads provide little cover or concealment and make the vehicles easy to target. Furthermore, obstacles in the roads or a destroyed bridge can result in backed-up traffic, which further leaves the vehicles in a vulnerable position. The list of lost equipment also indicates the initial Ukrainian strategies for countering the Russian forces. At the start of the invasion, the Ukrainians targeted Russians' tanks in an effort to stall the offensive. Once they succeeded in doing that, they shifted their focus to other Russian vehicles, including command vehicles and sustainment support equipment. The Ukrainians seem to have specifically targeted engineering assets and recovery vehicles. By taking out these vehicles, the Ukrainian military is limiting Russian movements and further slowing their advance. By slowing the advance, the Ukrainian military additionally stresses the Russian supply lines, which must make sure that vehicles are fueled and soldiers fed.